And welcome. We are live. And joining me today, as always, is my good friend and artist, Kenny Calderone. And we are working our way through
Welcome,
the MOTU
everyone.
52. I nearly said 32, but it's 52 as we move sequentially through the Masters of the Universe characters. I'm already losing my weeks, Kenny. So we are working our way through Merman. This is probably our final painting stages today. And thank God, look at the merman there staring at us with his empty eyes. It gives me nightmares. If you're joining us for the first time today, welcome. And what this channel is about us painting and drawing live. And you can see us work through our processes and our techniques. And you can get some tips, and you can interact with us, and you can draw along with us. And have fun with us as we move through these characters that we've grown up and enjoyed. These won't be the only themes we'll be working on. There'll be more, but we started with Masters of the Universe. So here we are today. Kenny, how has your week been?
Week has been very productive. Just wrapping up some commissions that I've had carried over from the holiday season. Sending some stuff out. And gearing up to get into this next book project that I got on the horizon. And, nice. Preparing more activities for my students, right? To keep things nice and interesting. I wouldn't be doing my job if I wasn't challenging them, right?
That's right.
Guys, here with the Off the Merman, right?
Yeah, Off the Meds Merman.
Alongside Will. Again, happy Off the Meds Merman. So for those of us that are joining in on the stateside East Coast, or just stateside in general, happy Friday evening. If you're down under, happy Saturday morning. All right. Today, I think I'll be entering in my final stages of Merman.
Excellent.
Last week, Will did a fantastic job of holding down the fort while I was running a bit late. So I managed to catch up to the progress a little bit.
You have done. You've surpassed. So I'm in that position, I think, this week where I'm
I'm pretty sure you've experienced this. It gets to a point in the art where, like, now you're on autopilot. You know what I mean? So it's like everything just kind of starts to, like, jump into the art.
Yes, we call that the flow. Once you get in that flow, it really starts to win. You're breaking up a little bit.
Little bit?
Yeah, a little bit, jumping in and out, just slightly. Other than my brain's jumping in and out, but one of us are jumping in and out. But yes, and there's a little bit of a delay, but again, that might be my Saturday morning. But But yeah, you do get in the flow, and that's just part of that rhythm that you get into where you manage to clear everything out except for you and the art piece. Yeah. Am I right, Kenny? Just you and the piece.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm interested to see what you're gonna do with those tentacles that you got, like, sort of framing the artwork there. Like, that's what I'm, like, kind of waiting on. When you start delving into the background.
Well, I better get started then. I'll mix up my paint. While we're yakking, I've just been pouring paint. So
there it is.
Doing all of that. Yeah. So what else is news on the horizon, Kenny? What's coming up?
Let's see. In a few weeks, I'll be at Beyond Comic-Con. So anyone who's watching the stream, and you're going to be in the South Florida area, you can check me out at Beyond Comic-Con. I believe that's going to be Saturday, February 17th in North Miami Beach. It's a free
and you're going to be,
it is family friendly.
You taking commissions? You taking commissions at that?
Yeah, you don't have to worry about any. I will absolutely be taking commissions ahead of time at that, so
No.
that all you gotta do is just show up at the con and pick it up.
Yep.
I will do commissions as well at the show, as I normally do, and
Yep.
it'll be all of my usual selections. You get some live paintings. I do sketch cards. I do oversized sketch cards. I do 11 by 14 and 9 by 12s, right? And I'll always
Nice.
have like some original artwork that's a little larger scale, an 11 by 17, and as always, I'll always have prints of the artwork for the lower end, right? So that you can always walk away from my table with something.
Perfect. So lots of variation of sizes and costs, making sure there's a product for everybody. Very smart.
It's important. You need that.
You do, absolutely.
You want.
So what's the best way they can get in contact with you before the show to order?
Suit all budgets. So on the bottom of the screen, it's those are my Instagram handles.
Yep.
Wilding Studios, Wildings Ken, all separated by underscore. Those right now are the best ways and fastest ways to get in touch with me. Just to establish immediate contact. And if there's anything that you're interested in as far as like a bigger project, if you want to do sequentials, if you need cover work or whatever, like that's the best way to initialize the conversation, and then we can discuss.
Yes. I'm just putting that in the chats, Kenny, while you're going on with the spiel.
No worries. I'm getting some paint mixed here, because I'm going to drop some of this lighter purple on the horizon, right? Sort of frame my Merman a bit. And then I'll get into some of these smaller details on Merman. Let's get some water in these cups. There we go. All right, we're all set.
Platforms. All right. I'm just throwing that up into the comments.
Let's get some of this purple. No worries.
There we go.
Just trying to get some of this deep purple into the sky here. So we get a nice sort of separation of the horizon. And we create that sense of the water reflecting the color of the sky.
Nice. You'll have to excuse the ambient sounds of gardening happening outside my window as the neighbors are, what would you call it in America? Weed whacking?
The whacking
right when I'm
of the
about
weed.
to turn it on. As soon as I'm about to turn the camera on, it's let's do some weed whacking up against the steel fence. That's great. Great, thank you.
Yes.
Quiet
the
all week.
whacking of the weeds.
The whacking of the weeds. Out here we call them whippersnippers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. In throughout the course of the week, I've had people in my community like dig up like their yards and stuff. It's AT&T. Like they've been digging up people's front yards because I guess in the area we're about to get like an upgrade in in the internet.
Excellent. So everyone will be glowing green.
They've been digging up. It's about to be 5G out the wazoo in here. All right?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, literally. All right, so we've got two people in the room with us. If you're here with us today, jump on and say good day. And welcome. Chats. And welcome to the show, or whatever you want to call it. The running accident. All right. better start getting into this painting now. We're set up. All right, let's see. Just getting a finer brush to finish this second eye out. And because it's been a week of drying, I've now got the opportunity to come in over this gouache and do some more layers, which is always essential.
Yeah.
Use that extra pop.
Yeah. I find that advantageous of like doing these weekly streams. We allow the art to sort of like breathe.
Yes.
In between these streams, so that you guys, the audience, can like really benefit from seeing the full process episodically, right?
Yeah.
So I don't touch the artwork until I'm live on camera.
Yeah. Yeah. What you see on the thumbnails is what you get in the video clip.
Absolutely.
There's no what? I waited to the end of the video and this didn't happen. Well, I've seen a few videos like that. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, wait, that's different.
Yeah. Exactly. I feel like, we cheat, the audience out of like the actual process when you jump ahead.
Indeed.
Pull out some of this graphite that I have. I'm gonna pull out some of this graphite that I have over his right hand.
Yeah.
Because I want to get some of that light from behind him, like the light from the horizon, sort of like peering over his silhouette.
Nice.
I don't want any of this graphite to muddy up the paint. So all in all, how's your week been, Will? Your class has started up again, yeah?
No, not yet. No, not yet. We've still got a bit of time, which is good. It's been allowing me to sort of catch up on a few things, and like you, just getting emails out, contacts out, things like that to people, which has been really good. And I've had some really, really pleasing results out of that, which I can't sort of announce too much yet. But super exciting sort of stuff and things that I've wanted to do for a while. But it's allowed me time to also, clean areas up ready for the year, do my ordering of equipment, setting up the studio. So, things like that. So that's been really, really just pleasing to sort of knock some of those small jobs on the head that mean a lot later when you're doing the large jobs.
Right.
But yeah, it's been a very, very productive week, which is really good. Did a bit of concept work for this the IP stuff that I've been working on, so that's been good too.
Yes, indeed.
All right, so you can see already just that extra tiny little layer. What was that, Kenny? I've got a bit of a delay.
It's important to get yourself sort of set up. You're getting anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got an AT&T delay between our streams.
You were saying, Will, I didn't.
No. I'm blaming your AT&T. Damn you, AT&T.
Yeah.
All right. Oops. Take that down. It's just been one of those great weeks of sort of, when you're sort of kicking the goals, which is nice. Yeah, we're back up.
Very nice.
Good to have those wins.
Mm-hmm.
So, where can the everyone buy your artwork once you are completed your Merman? Are you having a live sale with this thing, or what's the plan now?
You know what? I've been meaning to put them up on my Etsy shop.
Yep.
But I feel as though I'm not ready to part with them yet.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I because ideally I want to do like a whole collective volume. We talked about it, a whole collective
Yeah.
volume of the art,
Yes.
in theme with Masters of the Universe. Right?
Yep.
I don't know. I'm just not ready. I'm not ready.
Off the meds has got under your skin, hasn't he? He's done it.
Yeah, yeah. He's kind of grown on me. I'm not ready to let him go yet. But anyone watching this, if it's if it's something that you're interested in, give me a shout. Contact me. My Instagram handles are in the chat and on screen. What about you,
Will? So mine will be the same. So it's just Art of Will Playdon on all handles, including Etsy. So mine will probably go up as soon as I can get a chance to scan it and format it ready for Etsy as well. And of course, if you're joining us for the first time today, we have a Facebook group called the Artists of the Universe, where we will be moving through different themes, but it's really a great little place to jump on and just see what people are up to. I noticed there was a Beastman posted during the week of people doing their work, and it doesn't matter whether it's sculpting or whether it's in a caricature style or whether you're doing super realism, whatever it is you're working on in terms of the theme, we put it up. So Kenny's an administrator on that side as well, and as we move through these themes, whether it's G.I. Joe, He-Man, Transformers, whatever it might be, they will be featured on that site. So if you're working and drawing with us, it's right up on the side. Join on with the group. It's a great supportive sort of environment for artists and people that love art.
Absolutely. I'm gonna come back through here so I can give you little needle piranha teeth with a pen.
A little bit of white.
And then approach these eyes with some white ink.
A bit of mixed media.
So that the glare of white is strong. Oh, yeah. So just so that the white is strong, right? Prominent. And then I'll get the drips coming off of the body. And some glares on the trident.
A bit of sheen.
And then I'll come in, a little bit of a sheen. Ooh, highlight the scales, right, on his body. I want to give him sort of like a scaly texture.
Yep.
And then, sharpen it up with a quill.
Nice.
You ever use a quill? Quill?
Yeah. Love the quill. Love the quill. I'm just building up the sort of the same thing. I'm sort of working on the textures and the next layer now on the face, and just getting that kind of rough sort of corally kind of look.
Nice.
Because I guess it's almost like, I see it as like an organic sort of armor, where it's going to just grow on his face and build up some of those rough areas. So I'm just working over with a bit of ochre now over the lemon yellow, so that when I apply the yellow again as highlights, it's got something to bite onto.
Yeah.
Because my lemon yellow is, my cool yellow is very yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah, that's the other advantage of waiting until we're on the stream to work on the art. That the art has the ability to sort of settle, so that we can always come back and layer on top.
That's right, because you don't want to muddy your colors too much or traumatize your paper too much. So having that little bit of time for it to dry and soak is always good.
Oh yeah.
All right. So what have you been watching, Kenny? What's the latest?
Oof, I haven't been watching much of anything actually.
Well, what am I going to do now?
I've
You
been
inform my next decisions. I'm going to be aimless.
um you know what? I finally finished this anime that I've been a fan of for a really long time. Bleach.
Mm.
It's your standard shonen sort of anime,
Yeah.
and I saw it on Hulu. They have the final story arc that was from the manga of the
Right.
Thousand Year Blood War, and that's what I finally like finished wrapping up watching, right? Because I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of that IP.
Yeah.
Um, Outside of that, man, I'm just kind of while I'm working on the table, I'm just playing things in the background just for ambiance.
Yeah.
So it's
Yes.
things that I can't that I don't necessarily need to pay attention to because I've seen it so much. So it's like
Yes.
it's
Perfect.
usually reruns of The Office.
Yes. Yeah. Something that just rolls on. You don't have to
I
worry about. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely love that show. So
Yeah. It's funny.
just reruns of The Office, maybe a pod or like just interrogation videos on YouTube of like people in interrogation rooms after they've committed a
Oh.
horrible crime.
Yes. You like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's it. That's your ambience.
It's the way you said, "Oh."
Oh. Okay. So I love that your ambience is
It's the
people
way
getting in
you said,
trouble.
"Oh." That's different.
Yes. It's always ambient. It's always ambient when you've got people with bigger problems than your own.
Absolutely. It's always worse somewhere else.
Yeah,
Feel
that's
better
right.
about myself.
There's always a good contrast, or somewhere. There's always someone with a bigger problem. You know, I'm either watching
Absolutely.
that or the Darien Gap. I mean, there's always going to be someone with a bigger problem. That's funny. Oh.
That's
Okay.
that's the first time I've ever gotten that reaction.
There's something for everyone here, folks.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Funny. Oh dear.
So
Yeah,
right
I'm just
now
saying
I'm
I
just
need to
laying
have.
in for those watching.
Yeah, no, finish, Kenny. Sorry, we got a bit of a delay. That's why.
So right now I'm sitting just yeah. Oh, no worries, no worries. I'm just laying in a little bit of white. Now this white is watercolor, so it's not gonna be super prominent like bright white. I'm gonna do that afterwards, but this will sort of soften up a lot of the flat colors that I have laid in here, so that it sort of supports the kind of shape language I want to communicate with certain parts of this piece here, like the the cylindrical shape of the trident and the curvature of the knuckles and so on. Right, so it doesn't need to be super strong. It just needs to soften these areas here just enough to where we can identify that as being something round.
Yes. What's your technique with painting straight edges, Kenny?
Prayer.
Face.
Lots of prayer. You know what?
Baby
I
Jesus.
think the best technique is to be as quick as possible.
Oh,
Because
okay.
if you sort of like, so if you're too slow with it,
Yep.
I
It'll
think you're
get
more
you.
prone to making mistakes.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you kind of just like and don't think it, like I
Yep.
feel I've had more success that way.
Right. Because I
because
noticed that long
you know,
sort of trident hand, we're gonna.
right?
It's a fair run. Yeah.
Because like for example, I did enough with the pencil composition here to where this is still going to read solid and straight, right? So when I come back behind it with my line art, you know, even with my quill, you know, my ruler has a beveled edge. I'll be able to sort of just, you know, just kind of solidify that with ink and, you know, just very thin line weight. But when it comes to paint, you know, so long as the composition is strong, I'm able to kind of stay within my composition by using quick strokes.
The beveled edge quill.
Exactly. How do you handle straight lines with gouache?
Well, I guess it's a bit the same. It's a lot of faith and a lot of, oh my God, I've just got to dive in and just do this. But I tend to look at the angle of that my hand works in, and I will move the picture around to get the straightest or the easiest movement with my hand, the most natural flow. There's nothing worse than working against the flow of your hand. So I tend to move the page around until I get a nice natural angle. Where I can angle the brush better. I've seen lots of artists use rulers and things like that to guide themselves along. Like I've seen, even with inking, people using rulers to do that. I've never been that good at doing that kind of stuff. I've tended to naturally had to do it slowly. And I think for me, especially with painting, I'll always start on the inside of something and then work towards my edge. So I'm aware of how far my brush will splay out with the amount of paint on the brush.
Right.
So I tend to start on the inside of something. Like if it's a staff, I'll start on the inside of that staff and then move myself to the edge of that staff. The tricky thing is for me is always going through and putting that last run of highlight in, because there's no extra layer after that. You've got to make it work. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's either make or break that last run. You either get it or you don't.
Absolutely. Well, you know, like anything, it's all trial and error, right?
Yes.
That's why, you know, I always encourage people to, you know, kind of do things outside of their comfort zone. So,
much like what we're doing today.
You'll never know unless you give it a shot.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Painting live.
Absolutely. That I think it'll be interesting to see what it would look like painting Mecca.
Yes. Well, that is on one of our lists.
Because Mecca is always because that's always something that, you know, you typically see most artists doing with pens, pencils, ink, you know, very, very few times. I think with the exception of a handful of artists, you know, just kind of using a softer medium like paint to illustrate or paint that.
Yeah. What do you find best for you when you're doing it?
Well, a lot of the Mecca that I have done, I've either done in color or in just like using gray tones, like a gray wash.
Yes.
Right, because like the gray wash allows you to sort of like get in the little nooks and crannies of like the openings where you can have the exposed joints of the robot.
Yeah.
Right? So
so
you don't lose that detail, you know.
Right.
But I've always done it with ink. I'll follow things up with a micron and a ruler just so that my edges are straight. You know, it's that standard rule of like anything that's inorganic should be illustrated with straight lines.
Yes. Okay. So what medium do you think we should be working on when we do the next series?
That depends. What are we doing next?
Well, I mean, we've got a list. We got choices.
We do.
Many
We do.
choices.
Do. I do like the GI Joe option.
Yeah, I did too. I've never done GI Joe or mech, so
I do.
I'm open to either.
Neither have I.
So we could do that.
Well, with the exception for one or two Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow pieces.
Yeah.
I've not done a whole lot of GI Joe, so I'd be open to GI Joe.
All right, let's we'll tackle the Joe. But I am keen to learn the mech stuff because mechs is also something I've never done before.
I mean, we could do mech and then follow it up with GI Joe.
Yeah. We could bounce around whenever we want.
Yeah, that's true. Because what do you think? G1 Transformers or
yeah. Well, to mix it up, we could do G1 Transformers, jump to the Joes, and then G2 Transformers.
I like it.
We got options. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like it.
So you're working up those yellow gloves now for Merman?
Yep.
What colors are you using in the shadows on his yellow, Kenny?
I'll tell you right now. I'm using a yellow ochre.
Yep.
Just to over the lemon yellow, right? So we can get some nice yellow shadow values, right? As we move away from the light. And then I've already laid in some cerulean, right? Some really washed out cerulean, right? For these colder shadow values. And I'm going to follow it up with a little bit of lemon yellow just to sharpen up my shadow cuts here.
Right.
And then we'll come back into it with a little bit of white just so I can get some of the water like droplets that I want to detail, and then come in with the white ink, and then I'm gonna touch up his eyes a bit so he's not so dead in the eyes.
Dead eyes. Nothing like a dead eye. The old problematic dead eye.
I'm telling you.
The non-blinking dead eye.
This. Yeah, I feel like this will be like the final phase for tonight. For this piece. Just need to add some fills in certain areas. Now, let me get my label brush and some of this trusty white ink. All that, we can touch up these eyes before we move on to the body.
Have you got any side projects you're working on for yourself, Kenny, in terms of art?
I'm working on some sketch cards.
Yeah.
And it's not for any particular purpose. It's really just so that I can test myself at refining working that small.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I've done some pretty decent work up to this point, but I want to get better. I want to get like to this level, but on that
scale. The cards. Yes. I've never done them before, but I've seen you draw them, and I've seen people like what's his name, Hughes. My brain's blanking, but I've seen him do live sketch cards with Copic markers, and his wife as well. It certainly takes a different type of skill to get to that
It
scale and
does.
keep it
I mean,
consistent.
there was a little bit of a learning curve in the beginning. Yeah, there
Yep.
was a little bit of a learning curve in the beginning. Just because I'm accustomed to working at a particular scale.
Yeah.
But then it's like you have to rethink how you compose, how you're gonna approach, and do what's best for the art in
Yes.
such a small space.
Do you find that the
So,
same when you break
me.
larger than
I
11
love
by
the challenge.
17? You do, yes. Do you find that the same when you break
Yeah,
larger than 11 by 17?
It's the same thing.
Same problem. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've done pieces as big as 16 to 24.
Yep.
And there was a little bit of a curve with that as well.
Yeah.
But I feel like working smaller was more of a challenge.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's always interesting when you get larger, you start to push the conventions of proportion beyond your periphery, what you can see.
Yeah.
So sometimes we get used to controlling that. So on such a 11 by 17 sort of A3 to A4 scale, when you start getting larger, you lose that control a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's the way it is for me anyway.
Yep.
Alrighty. Just working up those little eyeballs.
Just adding in some very yes, sir.
Are you gonna do highlights of the crown of your merman as you move along? Like you're gonna make it shiny, or are you gonna
yeah.
flat?
I gotta make it feel nice and glistening.
Yeah.
Lots of glisten.
Mm. Right.
So we got that. Let's get a little bit of the drops coming off of his lip here.
My kids are watching the live stream afterwards last week, Kenny, and they wanted to know how come you've got your own version of Michael Jackson glove going on.
Melissa calls it my hand thong. Melissa calls it my hand thong.
Yeah.
For the same reason that you use tracing paper. It's so that you get a barrier between the natural oils in your hand. Like keeping it off of the artwork, so it prevents smudging and protects the integrity of the art.
Especially with inking too, doesn't it?
That most people use this glove for when they work on iPads and tablets, so that your hand can glide across the surface of the tablet a lot smoother without sputtering.
Right. And in those quiet moments, you can just get up and crack out a few dance moves, high-pitched squealing, and then sit down again ready to paint.
With my high water pen and sparkly socks.
I forgot about the sparkly socks. Why the sparkly
R.I.P. King Pop. Why not? In a world with handbrake swords and flamulets.
That's right. And the canklet.
Why not?
Why not?
Exactly. Why not?
You do what you want. Do what you want in the Masters of the Universe world. It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear you got freedom to do it. Now, apparently, there's a season 2 of some new cartoon dropping in on Netflix with Masters of the Universe Revelations or something like that. Have you heard of this?
Saw that. It's supposed to come out at the end of the month.
Yeah, I noticed there's a Battle Armor He-Man happening on the cover of the poster.
I know. That's what got me excited.
Yeah, I know you're all about the Battle Armor He-Man.
Oh yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how faithful they are to it. I haven't seen the season 1 to that though.
This is the Kevin Smith one, yeah?
Isn't it? I thought he already had a season 2 out there, didn't he? I don't know. I can't keep up with what's happening. No, it is the season 2 because I noticed the Skeletor had the biometric. Yeah, Skeletor had that weird sort of biometric sort of stuff running through his skin. So interesting. Interesting. Let's hope they don't kill He-Man again off in the first couple episodes.
Right.
I know, like, oh, okay, cool, man. Now
that's what we're doing. That's what's hot in the streets.
Okay.
Okay.
One of these. Yeah.
Killing He-Man. All right. Great.
Killing He-Man, right? I guess I'll watch.
In the background, I've seen all of the interrogation videos for today.
That's right. I've had the X-Files playing in the background for the same sort of reasons. You know,
there you go.
Because there's like 50,000 seasons, so I'll just have them playing in the background.
Yeah,
they kind of blur into one.
Just mindlessly listen to.
Yes. Yeah. The only time I sort of drift up is when I have to click the button to continue watching.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Are you still watching?
When you can't hear Mulder and Scully anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you realize,
oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, getting the 90s feels watching painting while painting.
Yeah.
Oops.
Now,
my dog's
very gently with this white ink, I'm using a little bit of a dry. No worries. I'm using a little bit of a dry brush technique to get some wet highlights around these muscles. A little bit on the seaweed, right? Because it's bright enough to where you can notice it, but soft enough to where it's not going to overpower.
No. You don't want that distraction when you're walking in the building and people are just distracted with the glistening everywhere. You got to have it in certain spots, right?
Absolutely.
Just in certain areas. Yeah.
Oh,
you don't want
kind of oil.
Oh, he's so glossy. He's laminated. He's a laminated character.
This guy's covered in cellophane.
High level laminate merman.
He's great in the rain.
Yes, he's like the macho man, just constantly oily. Or Merman the Hitman heart. It slips off people. All right. I think the face is generally done. I think Merman. He's going to have a little bit on the saliva and.
That came out really, really well done.
The big empty eyes. I think I'll come back with a Prisma pencil and just clean up some of the outlines, just to make them a bit sharper on the eyes, because people tend to focus on that. But I think generally we're good. A little bit of gloss inside the mouth there. Sort of, there we are. Creepy. Now, what do we decide for the gemstones around his neck and his bow tie belt? Are we going a different color with those, or are you going to stick with just yellowy gold?
I'm gonna keep it yellow and gold. I mean, because I have him sort of leaning forward, this is gonna remain in shadow for the most part. Right. I think I'm gonna put a lot more emphasis on the trident with these highlights.
Yes.
And like when I come back to this with the black ink, I'll most likely not go into too much detail with the belt.
Yeah.
Just to keep
the power of having it leaning forward is you can drop it into that shadow, can't you? Really, you got freedom to do that.
Yeah.
So if you are joining us for the first time today, welcome. And if you're a returning, I was going to say returning customer. If you're a returning viewer, well, welcome back to our Friday and Saturdays, respectively, across the world. If you're here for the first time, this is what we do. We progressively move through a themed list, Kenny and I, and we unveil the problems, the successes, the trials, the tribulations as we progress through our art pieces. But please give us a good day in the comments, like and share our stuff. Please subscribe to both channels. It always helps us to keep motivated to do these things when we're getting feedback and definitely audience reaction and audience growth, which is always super helpful for us as artists. Helps to keep us inspired. All right, I've got to stop fiddling with the face and move on. I can keep going on forever. I get fixated on an area and I just want to keep playing with it.
I got you. That happens to me too.
Yeah.
Let's get in here. Pull some of these drops down.
All right. Let's tackle this armor.
Fun stuff.
So if you are drawing along with us today, definitely throw up your pictures in the comments, your progress photos, and we'll put them up on the screen if we can, and definitely share them onto the Artists of the Universe site as well. Haven't seen a Jim Riley sculpture in a while. That's gone quiet, isn't it? I have to harass him because he did a great beat, man.
Oh yeah. Beastman did come out pretty good. I suppose Merman is a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I guess. I've actually enjoyed doing Merman. I've just enjoyed doing the monster part of him.
Right.
To move away from the human sort of representational anatomy. It's nice to go a little bit looser and crazy, and yeah, it's been enjoyable. I have noticed that a big shout out to Nate Stones, who has, I think he got tired of waiting for my slowness with my artwork, so he's flying ahead with his own series now of Masters of the Universe. And I think he's clearly surpassed us. Nice. So he's kind of flying ahead. He's doing smaller full figure ones, which look fantastic. He's digitally coloring them, and I think he's up to, what was the one I saw last of his? I think it was, he finished Merman. I think he was just flying ahead. I think he's cracking out a series, but he's got like 360 or something on the series. He's doing a big one.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so very impressive.
And how big are they?
I don't know the size, but he's got the logo there as well and the figure. So I think they're digitally drawn, but they look very clean.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, so he's doing a good job with those. He is the king of these lists, these challenge lists. He does them every year, and he kind of inspired me to put this list together because he does a He-Man, he does Star Wars ones, he does a whole bunch of different ones. So Nath is he did one on just the 80s cartoons. He's really a man of the challenge list, so I really admire that about him. He's always pushing the boundaries a bit, which is good.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm just underlaying a little bit of burnt umber in with my ochre and with my yellow, just to give me some shadow.
Yeah.
And then I'll hit it with the lemon yellow highlights again to bring it back. The ramblings of the insane artist at the table on his own.
Mm-hmm.
These are the conversations we have in our heads on our own, folks.
I really like
so
absolutely.
This is just what happens, all right?
Just roll with it.
Yeah, we're not fluffing it up for the audience. This is just exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Problem with this heat is my gouache keeps drying as I'm going. That's an issue.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. It's good for the paper. It's not good for the
I
palette.
really like the way this white ink smells.
We have the same problem with you. We have the same problem with you at the gas station now, don't we, Kenny? Like, roll the window up, stop with the window down every time.
I really do. It kind of smells like toast, like just fresh toast.
Really? It smells like fresh toast?
I had to shake it a little bit, right? Because the ink itself is older.
Yeah.
And I got it from Melly, right? From Melissa.
Right.
And for those of you joining, Melissa is my fiance, right? And
Yes.
Melly once upon a time had yes. Melly once upon a time had a calligraphy phase.
Yep.
Right. So this was an ink that she had.
Okay.
She wasn't using it, so she gave it over to me. So the ink itself was kind of dry on the inside, and I dropped a few drops of mineral water, and I shook it up
and cinnamon.
And yeah,
give it that toasty toastness.
A dash of cinnamon.
A dash of cinnamon. Yeah.
So
just with the taste.
Very, very pleasant as I apply it to the artwork, and I'm this close to it. So it smells like Sunday morning for me every time I use it.
It smells like love. That's funny.
Like every time I shake it up, like
yep,
it it's like cracking open the Tupperware. You know what I'm saying?
Nice. Yes. Well, I'm glad it's not the pan and you not having a stroke or something, because the cinnamon and burnt toast thing, I don't know.
No. I'm good.
Just let us know if you blank out or you're starting a bit, hazy. Just let me know. We'll go to an ad break.
We'll go to an ad break. Pineapples. I'll say out pineapples. Yeah, and then we'll go to commercial break.
Yeah.
Pineapple.
You're gonna go with a cinnamon thing, like maybe Dunkin' Donuts or something. Say Dunkin' Donut. Anyone know? It's over. Call 911. Insanity. So which do you prefer? Do you prefer the American Office or the British Office when you're watching it in the background?
Oh, the American one, hands down.
Yeah, the Steve Carell.
Yeah, the American one, hands down. I know episodes like verbatim, line for line.
I find his is an easier watch because it's not as awkward as Ricky Gervais. I'll watch Ricky and the awkwardness
True.
I love, but it's not easy.
It's really not.
Easy
And
on
the
it.
first season of The Office was like that. It was very, very
Yeah.
awkward. You know, but
Meant
by
to be,
season
isn't it?
2, it leans into more of the comedic. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're a bit more lovable.
Yeah.
The power of Ricky Gervais.
So, so what I just did, I added a little bit of washed out black watercolor to sort of define my horizon here along this
nice.
this bank of water, right?
Yeah.
And some of these, I guess, like dead trees floating in the water. I'm gonna add a little bit under here, under Merman. Use a really wet brush, not too much paint, right? Because you don't want the solid black. You want a nice gray value that'll be transparent enough to allow for your values and details to still pop through.
Yeah. I like that shadow on the leg too, Kenny. That looks really good. The leg that's propping forward. And you got the shadow from the staff looks really effective. That wash you put there.
Thank you. A lot of experimentation, dude. A lot of experimentation.
Yep. That's all it is.
It was an oil painter. As a matter of fact, it was an oil painter that I watched paint, right?
Yeah.
And what she did was she gave me a little deeper insight when it comes to color theory, like especially with oil painting, on how you want to throw certain colors in the background so that your subject matter is pushed forward, right?
Yes.
Now, for the most part, green, blue, these are all cold colors, right?
Yeah.
So you want to go deeper into the spectrum of a colder temperature of color for your background so that these appear warmer and they jump out at you.
Yeah.
And
you don't want it all too hot either.
The way she broke it down for me was absolutely fascinating.
Right.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. And I wanted this Merman to be and feel different from the Beastman and the He-Man.
Yes. Which is very much in that value set of hot colors.
So yes. I wanted this one to feel unique within its own right.
Yeah. Well, I suppose too, Man at Arms, which is next, is going to be another one in the very much the warm values. So it'll be a nice break doing this one in the cool sort of ocean colors.
True. Now, I do think that with Man at Arms, I think that'll be a good opportunity to sort of like lean into some more techie.
Yeah.
I guess like subject matter, right?
Yep.
Maybe some gadgets, because he's got kind of like a gadgety looking helmet.
He does. Yep.
And I think he's got like a utility belt.
You'll be able to do that text flex, where you can get all your tech out of your system.
Oh yeah.
Tech flex.
Yes.
Of the tech. Oh dear.
There we go.
How are we going to survive 52 of these, Kenny? We could be going insane by the end of it.
I don't know. I I'm having a blast with it though. I'm not gonna lie.
They're good fun. They're good fun. And I've thrown some landscape pieces in at the end of it too.
They really
so we've got Grey Skull and Snake Mountain as well at the end of the series. So we'll be doing a little bit of landscape painting at the end to wrap it up, which would be nice. If you ever want to go to a publication, it'd be nice to have those as your covers.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that was a great addition to the challenge, because I don't think I've, like, on my own accord, like, made an effort to do and focus on landscapes.
Right. Well, I think there's lots of scope for it with pop culture. Like, how many people do you see? And I don't know if there is. I could be completely wrong here, but how many people do you see doing landscape pieces around that stuff? You know,
Very true.
doing Thundera, maybe some Thundera, or the Panthers Castle. That'd be cool too. Like there's lots of Voltron's Castle. There's lots of cool sort of environmental things too that you can lean on.
Oh yeah.
Might do that when our Star Wars challenge too.
Some bubbles.
Putting some environments in there.
Yes.
Like Vader's castle and Obi-Wan's house and stuff like that would be cool. The Ewok village.
Some rooms in the Jedi Temple.
Yes, that'd be cool. I love the ruins that were in The Mandalorian. Remember the one where that little on the top of the mountain when Boba Fett first appears and he flies past? I love that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool. I got to admit, I am looking forward to the Star Wars challenge we got coming up.
Oh yeah.
All right,
so right now, just so that for the sake of context, we're going to add some small bubbles using the white ink in the surface of the water here amidst the ripples. All right, because
that looks good, Kenny.
Thank you,
sir. Yeah, that was good.
All about the context.
The drips you got running off the center torso through the middle, that looks really effective.
Thank you. And I was kind of worried about it because I was afraid that it would be too bright. But I think before I lay in the ink, I may push this torso into a little more shadow so that pops out a bit more.
Nice.
And this white ink dries really quickly, so that's good. All right. We're ready for some deeper shadow values, and then I'll break out the black ink.
What was that last bit? Sorry, you broke up then.
No, I'm gonna add the shadow values now. That this is dry for the most part, and then I'll break out my quill for the black.
Nice. So we've got a few people in the room with us at the moment, Kenny, which is good.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for hanging out. Happy Friday evening and or Saturday morning.
Lunch here.
Down under.
Yeah, Saturday lunch. Yeah.
I'm going to get some of the cobalt and purple and mix that. So,
very nice. So I'm just going over now with my Prussian blue, and I'm just overlaying the top of the green to sort of blue it down a bit.
Yeah.
to keep it to more of that blue sort of merman-y skin.
Mm-hmm.
And then before I can put in the highlights, because I do want this area to be reasonably dark down here.
Yeah. That I think is the trick, right? With so many cold colors, you want to not lose a lot of your details, but you still want to convey the lighting effectively.
Yeah, I'll probably come through with a bit of cool red and probably whack that into the shadows in the darkest of areas too. And then that will help me pop the highlights out a bit too. All right, now. Oh, I missed a tooth on the corn cob sawn there. I have to come back and fix that later. Just realized.
Yes.
Missing a tooth on the corn cob sword.
You can't miss a tooth on the corn cob sword. It would be an incomplete snack. In here, just between the eyes. Get some of the details on his head. Did we lose Will? Maybe experiencing some technical difficulty, ladies and gentlemen. I think we lost Will. We may be experiencing some technical difficulties. Just bear with us a bit. Give me one moment, guys. Oh, there he is.
I'm back. Sorry, I'm overheating. It's just very hot here.
No worries. No worries. I figured that's what was going on.
Yeah.
No worries. You guys get a lot of heat in January?
Oh yeah, it's the hottest part of the year, so it's quite extreme where I am.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, December, January are hottest times of the year, and but then in this part of the country we also get the quite really cold sort of, because I'm near the snow as well. We get the very cold weather in the middle of the year, so June, July, August area gets quite cold.
Nice. Wow. It really is.
So 104.
Usually over here, like January. Yeah.
104 degrees Fahrenheit would be similar to our weather at the moment.
Wow.
Here. Yeah. So
record.
So I
you guys
love the
are
hot
built
weather.
for tough.
I love the hot weather, but it does tend to get a bit tricky when you're doing artwork.
No, of course, because with artwork you're sitting in one spot for a long period of time, and with weather like that, you can't sit in one spot for too long. You got to keep it moving, or at least stay hydrated.
Yeah. But you deal with fairly high humidity where you are too, wouldn't you? In Miami, in Florida.
Yeah, it's always humid here.
Yeah.
Even when it's cold. That we usually get like a week of actual cold weather,
Yep.
where the temperature drops down to like the mid to low 50s.
Right.
But um, and even then it's still kind of humid.
Yeah.
But because of the environment that we're in, like there's central AC everywhere.
Right. Yep. Yes, we ours is more of a dry heat here. It's not so much humidity.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to survive with the air conditioning. Unfortunately, the palatial studios that I'm in at the moment, it's the last component I have to do.
Ah.
Slow
Okay.
build.
Little wall unit, like a wall unit in the window.
Yeah, we're going natural today, folks. Natural, like painting in the 70s. Painting in the 70s here.
There you go.
Yeah, we're going
There you
authentic with
go.
Masters of the Universe.
Aha. No frills over here, Mr. Wilson.
No frills. That's
No
it.
frills. So I'm just gonna lay in some loose little lines for the dead wood in the water. And
Yep.
then got my ink out, got my quill ready to go.
You're nearly ready.
Clean water. We're gonna use. I got my Sumi ink, my preferred ink for this type of work.
Yep.
Got my quill ready to go.
I'd have to say this is my favorite one you've done, Kenny. The Merman.
I have to agree. I like this one so far. Yeah, like this one. I think it's because it feels so different.
Yeah. Yeah.
In comparison to the other ones. Thank you though. Like it does feel different.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start from the left and work our way towards the right.
He's kind of got a little bit of a Thundercats villain look about him, a little bit.
A little
Like
bit.
the frog. What was the frog? What was the frog
I wanted
guy's
him to feel
name?
intimidating.
Yeah, it certainly looks that.
Oh, you mean like Slide?
Yeah, Slide. That's him.
Slide, right?
Yeah.
The leader of the mutants.
Yes.
Yeah. I can see that. I think it's in the. I'm gonna play around with a little bit of these line weights. All right. Get the seaweed going here. I think we lost Will again, ladies and gentlemen. It's really, really hot where he is. And he doesn't have any AC, so like I think his camera is overheating. But it's okay. Hang out with me. I got you covered. We're gonna do some inking. All right. That's Merman going. I think I'm playing around with some different line weights here just so that we can uh, not lose the shape of the trident. And a lot of these little details that I dropped in here. All right. And using a quill as of late has become one of my favorite inking mediums over using like Micron. I'll still use a Micron and a brush pen, but Nothing gives you the line quality that a quill does.
All right,
There
I am
he
back.
is.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
He is back. No worries.
It's yeah, I think it's my lamps. I'm just going to move the lamps away a little bit.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But anyway. So you're laying down the quill work now? Is that it? Is that the plan?
Yes, sir. Yep. So, usually when I work with a quill, I start from the left and work my way over to the right because I'm right-handed.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? And I'm being mindful to watch my line weights. Right? Quill work is very responsive to pressure.
Right.
So I'm going to go a little heavier on the bottom of my trident, right? And much thinner on the top portion of the trident.
Nice.
With a very thin line right around the arm. Get even a broken line along these muscle curves. Here, ribs. Now I am going to break my line up in certain areas to imply water droplets on the trident shaft itself.
That's cool.
Right, because it's all about the context, the imagery, right, and everything's gotta feel unified in the message that you're trying to convey.
Just trying to get that
So,
tension in that leg as I'm pushing that leg backwards as he's propelling himself forward.
yes, yeah,
Trying to get that tight, sort of locked in muscles of the kneecap.
yeah.
And the calf. Yeah.
I like those highlights you added to the head there, Will. Or is that wet paint?
That's wet. That's the sheen happening. See, because I haven't got my here we go.
Ah,
So I haven't got my lamp on to diffuse it.
well, wait a minute. He started adding highlights already.
He's adding silver.
Ah,
Yeah, that's just a reflection.
It looks cool. It looks cool.
Well, let's go with it. That's the
looks
final image.
cool.
Yeah, no, it looks like that.
Yeah, let's go with it.
Yeah. That's funny. So no, my actual drawing sucks, but the reflective light that's coming in from the window now makes it look nice. Yeah.
It's all light and mirrors, ladies and gentlemen.
That's
all
right.
light and mirrors.
That's funny.
Let's get these gentle little folds in the glove here. We can go a little heavier at the top. So we get a nice little separation there.
So we've hit the hour and a half mark nearly, Kenny, for today. Goes quickly, doesn't it?
Okay. It really does. It really does.
So I'm going to have to run a little bit of highlight through the inside of the leg. So I've got to get that glistening happening on the inside of his legs that's facing the water too.
Ooh, yeah, that reflective sort of that light bouncing off the water.
Yeah. Nice secondary light source, which is nice. Helps you to build some of that form up.
Love that. Let's see this armor in here.
Right.
Now I'm not going to detail a lot of the armor that's pushed into shadow.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to define that too much or call attention to that side. I'm going to do some detailing here, right? Because this is more in the light.
I love those. I love the way you've done
And
his.
I don't want it to.
The trunks there, I think, don't need it, Kenny. I reckon that by the way you drop that off into a wash in the middle there, I think looks great.
Thank you. Yeah, because again, it's to support that gesture of him coming forward.
Yeah.
And the body sort of twisting as he's walking, so you get like that shift.
Yes. Yep. The pivot.
Yeah.
As the hip moves back and forward. Yep, for sure.
You get the wet fur trunks.
Yep. The seaweed trunks.
That makes no sense.
No.
Seaweed trunks would have made more sense to me.
I know. But the hard crusted yellow, I don't understand.
Not animal pelt.
Yeah.
What's with the animal pelt?
I know. Like, it didn't even make sense to have that some sort of sea monsters.
It's like Aquaman having a cape.
Exactly. Or a hood.
Right.
Oh, wait, he died. Yeah.
Or a hood. Defeats the purpose.
Yeah. Yes. It's funny.
What were they thinking?
What were they thinking? Like cranking it out. Let's go. Like at least, like it's like Stratos having the feathers, but then a jetpack. It's like Stratos having the feathers and a jetpack as well. Like, what? Make a decision. What are we doing here? You know, feathers and a jetpack. Like, how long are those feathers going to last when you're flying it with a jetpack? Like,
I'm done.
I can imagine taking off and leaving half the feathers behind. Like, oh, great. Wrecked it again. I've wrecked another one.
All right, don't worry about that. Don't worry about the feathers. Just keep going. Just keep flying.
We'll come back and get that later. Focus on the battle, Stratus. The battle.
Yeah, we'll come back.
We'll come back. Don't worry. Shh. It's all right. Oh, he's crying again. Everyone.
Get the feathers.
Stratus. Get the work experience kid to get back the feathers. Go get him. The apprentice. Where's the apprentice? Where's Prince Adam? Prince Adam, go get the feathers.
Go get the feathers. Bring them back. Bring two. Get two back.
Bring them back. Give me 2, Utah. Oh, dude. See, that's why we're not invited into the writer's room of these Masters of the Universe cartoons.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not
too much focus
at all.
Too much focus on the weird character elements.
Uh-huh. we can't help but bring a little bit of logic
No,
to these character designs.
don't do that. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid there was logic.
Heaven forbid. So for those watching, you can tell I'm not lining out everything. I'm not treating this the way I would treat a normal. I won't say a normal, but like my typical like comic book drawing style, right? I am keeping some areas without a hard ink line, right? Because I feel like it lends itself to the texture that I want to convey with the piece. But a hard line in certain areas will reinforce, texture, uh, the depth that I want to convey with the figure moving forward, and as Will said, pivoting, to give the illusion of him walking towards you, and then sort of pulling out some of those small details that may have gotten lost, when we started blocking in the paint. We lost Will again. Man, that heat is kicking his ass over there, right? But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. Just kind of pulling out some of the details, right? So that your eye naturally fills in the gaps. So it's doing enough to where your eye can take over. Right? Now, as I get to the back of the figure, the lines are going to be a little more intense, just so that we can communicate the sense that the character is emerging from the water in a nighttime setting. So with that thicker line weight in the back, kind of gives the message of light sort of pushing around the form here. Right, so the line will remain broken. Rejoice, for he has returned.
Yes, sorry. I didn't even realize that it jumped off. I thought Kenny's gone quiet. What's happening? But no, my camera
No worries.
just jumped off. Just had to adjust a few fans in the room, and we're back again.
Yeah.
Indeed.
No worries. Indeed.
So with the leg that I'm working on,
going to go a little.
No, sorry, I just interrupted you.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. I was just talking about the line weight around this trident, right? Because it's in the foreground. We want to enforce the visual, I guess, perspective trident. We want it to feel like it's coming at us. So the line weight should feel a bit heavier in comparison to the body. So we're going to go just a bit thicker, right? Applying a bit more pressure to the quill so that it releases a bit more ink.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Will.
Oh, I was just saying that I'm just building up some of those mid and underlayers for his leg there. But a lot of this will probably...
Yep.
I'll have to allow it to dry before I can put the highlights in.
Oh, okay.
Trying to keep it clean and
So
keeping
you think one more session?
Yeah, perhaps, unless I do a bit in between the gutters of our shows, but I think you're finished just about.
Right.
So I might have
I'm
to do a bit of
almost.
Yeah, might have to do a bit of
That
catch up.
even after I'm done lining this up, I still may come in with a thin brush and just touch up some details.
Right. So maybe we'll do one more session where we finish off and then start sketching our man at arms.
Ooh, yes.
What do you think?
Yes. I like it. On top, we're gonna go broken. Broken all right. Put in the water. And
Sort of giving him that large sort
I'm
of
trying to
bicep vein as well, running through the middle there.
do a nice little balance between painterly and comic.
Yes. Well, you're doing it well. It looks great.
Thank you. Because I think because I had gotten this suggestion from a painter where they told me that I could, as opposed to I could use blue.
Yep.
A very deep blue for
Uh-huh.
like outlines. So
Yes.
so essentially it's using blue as black.
Yep.
Right? And it would give me a very similar effect.
Yep.
That I may do with Man at Arms.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of little intricate details, especially that area around his upper part of his armor, that guard that goes over his chin. It's got a lot of little grooves and vents and things like that in it.
Oh,
so
yeah, that's true.
He's going to be an interesting character to render.
Very true. I think he would be the most detailed up to this point, no?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
He would be the most detailed. I think I'm going to go with some guns. I may do a mix of some guns and
yes.
Didn't he have a battle axe? Like he used a battle axe, no?
Maybe in maybe the newer cartoons. I'm doing him with his mace, his giant mace that he has.
That's what it was. It was a mace.
Yeah. I'm doing him in his mace, and I might even include the battle ram, the vehicle that he rides on as part of it, because I like that. I always loved that battle ram. I never had battle ram, but I always loved it in the books, in the comic books.
Yeah.
The mini comics.
Yeah. Let's take a look at this, guys. Up.
I even thought it'd be cool to do him, sort of hammering out weapons on an anvil or something. That'd be cool.
Ooh, yeah, like forging some new stuff.
That's right. Yeah, and having all that light coming off the metal, the liquid.
That would be cool. Ooh, nice.
He's, hammering away there. Yeah, the sparks and the bit of the fire and ice metal action from Conan kind of look.
I like it. Let's see here. Okay, let's detail the face a bit.
I keep getting
Maybe
distracted
adjust the
watching you
whiting
draw.
just one more time, just so I can.
I keep looking up and just watching you on the screen. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. This is not X-Files. Cut. It's not ambient background TV. I keep getting caught.
Thank you. I'm, you know, I'm doing that where you're like kind of problem solving through the
Yeah.
art. You know what I mean? Where
Yes.
like you do a little bit, you take a step back, and then you see where you can add or
Yes.
mask.
Yep. You do the head cock from side to side and jump in again.
Where I'm at. Yeah. Yeah. So I think we may need one more session just to kind of wrap him up.
I agree. Yeah.
Because I'm seeing some areas that I can kind of come back in and just render just a little bit more to sort of drive it home. And then break out the white ink just a little bit more so he's a little more glistening. And then I think a pocket brush so I can get some nice shadows of the seaweed like dropping out behind him.
So tell me about the pocket brush. What is that?
Oh, the pocket brush. It's the big brush that I use to fill in my large black areas. So hold on, I'll pull it out right now. So this is a pocket brush.
Nice.
Okay. So
Okay.
we got some bristles there. You can see the ink drop into this little chamber.
Yep.
And the handle is a soft cartridge. I did the cover art for Diary of Dread.
Yes.
With this brush.
Yeah. I use one of those.
So it was full on just right.
Sorry, I ran over
so
you.
like, and the ink stays wet for a while.
Yeah.
So you can like kind of come behind it with a wet brush, a clean brush.
Yeah.
And you could pull out like some nice gray values.
Very cool. It's kind of like the contemporary answer to the brush and ink of the old days, really, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. That like I do have a brush specifically for that, like a dry brush. It's this one here. I love this brush.
Yeah.
Right. This is great for using ink with. But I don't have ink that stays like wet long enough for me to use that brush. To get that desired effect.
Have you ever used traditional brush and ink for comic work?
Yes.
How do you find that?
It's still a little tricky for me.
Yeah.
Because of the use of the brush, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm still like sort of like learning how to adjust my pressure with the brush in order to get the different line weights.
So Kenny, for someone starting out in art
for
someone starting out in art for the first time, what would be your advice to them? Because it can be overwhelming.
Regarding inking tools?
Just regarding
or just in general?
Just say they would do just in general. Like they're wanting to do comic work, or they wanted to do just even practicing for the first time to get better at it. What would you advise?
Observe a lot. Observe a lot of artists that do this type of work, right?
Right.
And which should be easy, right? Because a lot of
Lots.
artists can be found one YouTube video away,
Yes.
and for the specific type of materials that you want to use, you can find a lot of content regarding artists using those particular tools, and being able to give you a lot of do's and don'ts. Like
Right.
I myself, I do a lot of research regarding the tools that I anticipate using at some point, or even some of the tools that I'm very familiar with, and on just how to use them better or more efficiently. You know,
Right.
um, like I may have mentioned on these streams several times. I got into painting, watching Will paint.
And that's why
Yeah,
we
you
all
know what
have
I
so
mean?
many
Like
problems.
Will was one of my painting inspirations.
Therein lies the problem.
And watching him, therein lies the problem, right?
Yeah.
Watching him work through his process inspired me to do research on working with watercolor and gouache. Um, and again, you just have to do a little bit of research, experiment a lot, because before I was confident enough to do this in front of people, I experimented in private. you
Yes.
know I would just give myself little pieces of work to render on my own until I felt comfortable enough to where now I can offer this to my clientele.
Yes. Perfect. And just draw, draw, draw. I think it's the best starting point too, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Just draw every day.
Absolutely.
Every
Draw
day.
every day. I
Draw.
mean, I know that
Yeah.
I know that it sounds kind of cliche, but it's real. Like, you have to treat this like it's a real muscle and
Yeah.
a living organism. So you have to train it, you have to challenge it in order for it to grow, in order for it
Yeah.
to, supersede any challenges that you may put it through.
You really can't. You really can't put a value on just practical time in the chair, can you? Like, just put your hand to the grindstone and just do it.
At all. At all. You can't. Like, that's the best. That's the best medicine. You
Yeah.
want to be able to just throw yourself into it, and eliminate all fear.
Yes. It's got to get that, and you just got to get that rhythm of work ethic with it. When
Of course.
you and I could probably fill a room with drawings that haven't worked out, but it's about getting back in and doing it again and doing it again and figuring it out and working out the mysteries behind it and going back to observation, going back to study. I mean, you're never stopping, and I've been painting and drawing for a long time, but it's nothing. It's a drop in. It's a speck of sand on the beach of that has come before me. And you just got to keep recognizing that you're
Of
never
course.
fully formed. You're never quite there. The learning continues always. Always,
Or
always,
at
and
least
always.
be humble enough to know that you haven't made it yet, and you could always learn something new.
Yes, it's the mindset, isn't it?
Yes, because I tell my kids all the time, I'm in my 40s and I'm still learning new stuff. I actively look for things that I can incorporate into how I work, making me a better artist.
Right.
You want to remain in a constant state of evolution.
Yes. Yeah, there's nothing worse than being pinched off from the ability to grow. Through your own sort of way of thinking. Thinking that, oh well, I've learnt all I can in that area. That would be very sad. I'd be very distressed if I felt like I'd hit the glass ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, and some people are just kind of comfortable in like in their comfort zone. They're
Yes.
just like they feel safe. They feel like, okay, I'm good here. I don't need to grow any further. But and I've seen this. They
Yes.
always come across someone who's a little more development, who has a little more development, who has a little more like under the belt to convey the same kind of imagery a little cleaner, a little better, and then they go through the whole thing where they're feeling discouraged and oh, I'm good enough and so on and so forth, but they're not putting in the work.
Right. Yeah. Or they get surpassed by someone that was perhaps not as skilled as they were or practiced as they were. They get surpassed because that other person is open to the learning. And I'm the same. I guess I see a lot of people repeating what they know works successfully for them. And I've been in that same guilty position at times where I think, oh, well, I'll use that same color palette or I'll use that same technique of lighting or pose, and because I know it worked. But and I've seen even professionals do that. Like you've got someone that's an incredible illustrator like Alex Ross. You'll see a run of his where it's very similar in pose, and then he'll do something really out of the box, and you'll try a completely different color palette or genre. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, we've had that discussion before about his work, and it's and it's just lovely to see people trying, especially on such a big public platform that he lives on. Yeah, it's good to see. It's encouraging,
and that's what you want. You want to be able to test yourself, to test your method.
Absolutely.
You want to be able to test yourself and give it a shot. In here, sort of clean up these blacks. And define these teeth a bit more.
Yeah. The teeth are tricky because they're so little.
Yeah. He's got these weird little piranha teeth.
Little fish teeth, yeah.
Let's get some of these textures on his face.
Just having fun doing some of those mid highlights on his arms and legs at the moment.
Yeah, that part's always fun.
Yeah,
I think that's probably like one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, I love doing the forearms and bicep. This area here, I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. So I'm just probably going to leave that alone now and move on.
Yeah, playing around with that kind of shape language, trying to like convey that shape language clearly is always fun. It's my favorite part.
Yeah, it is. It's super fun. The only thing I'll do to that, I'll probably come in with a damp brush and just sort of smooth out some areas, and then obviously with the Prism pencil, just cleaning up a few spots where. Sometimes when you leave that artwork for a week, yes, it does allow it to settle and dry, but it lets your mind settle down too. And so you see it with fresh eyes next time you sort of come to it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. currently just laying in some of these like bumpier textures on the darker side of his face, right, to sort of contrast where it's a bit more lit.
Yes.
On the left side, right, we see more of the
Yeah.
eye, where the eye is a bit pushed into darkness. We've got the scales
Yeah.
reflecting here, where it's a
Give me
bit darker on
shadow.
the side, right, giving him like that, inhuman sort of monstrous vibe here. I'm gonna come
Yes.
back in here with a small gel pen just so I can get some smaller highlights in here.
Nice.
And touch up some of these glistening areas. And that should wrap up our Merman.
All right, so this leg down here. So, Kenny, do you keep a small sketchbook?
Now, Will, when you do your highlight,
Yeah, go. Sorry.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, go.
No, I was gonna ask. When you do your highlights, do you go in with a more paint to water ratio so that you get a bit more dense color?
Yeah, yes and no. Like if I am doing, I would say this is my second. This would be my second last pass over this area, for example, and the arm, right? So what I would do is I have my initial highlights where I have lightened up the paint that I'm currently using. What I would do then is I kind of wait till it's semi-damp, where it's like nearly at the dry point, but it's not there yet, where the gouache is still movable. Then I'll put in a little bit more of a highlight, and then I will let it just completely settle. And then I'll come in, and if I decide to have a couple of areas that really pop, then I'll come in with just almost straight gouache on a damp brush. But at the moment, what I'm doing is I tend to put in my washes early, and then I tend to keep my gouache fairly thick. So, which is why I suppose I was able to move pretty quick last week. But this week it's a bit slower because my layers are thicker. So it's almost like, because I guess that's part of my oil painting background, is I like to use the buttery sort of effect of the paint. Whereas that's, it's probably frowned on by a lot of gouache artists and watercolorists, but it's just the way I like working. And I kind of like having that finished thick result, of the paint. So it kind of feels like it's almost like an acrylic or an oil painting at the end of it. If that makes sense.
Well, essentially, there isn't a wrong way of doing it, is there?
Not really, but I suppose to me, like I like to follow the Drew Struzan way of doing art, where it's just about the end result. Like it just, how you get there is up to you. Like it doesn't matter if you push the brush against its bristles if you get the effect you want. But I guess there are traditionalists that believe that there are certain ways to use the medium and certain ways to not. There'd probably be people that frown on the fact that I include a little bit of pencil over it. Like it's, to me, I don't care. Like to me, it's, I'm not a traditionalist in that sense. To me, it's all about the finished thing. If I can get this character to the point where you believe it's moving out of that water towards you, or you feel like you're at least, you can feel some of those elements that are on that picture, then I've won. It doesn't matter to me the process it takes to get me there. It's just about the final result,
Right.
And I think generally people don't really care about that. They just care about how, if it looks cool hanging on the wall, like that's all I want. I want something to say, you know what, I can hang this above my Merman action figure, and it's a showpiece. That's, to me, then it brings happiness to them. Then I've won. You know, it
There
doesn't.
is.
There's no academics to it for me. Like I don't really care about the established idea of this is how you use it, this is how you don't. To me, it's just about the final thing.
I agree.
I mean, I suppose
Like
both of us are using mixed media, aren't we?
Yep. Like I just dropped a hard black right here,
Yeah,
in the pelt, right? And while the ink was wet, because this was I just used it with the ink brush. While the ink was
yeah.
wet, I'm coming behind me with a clean uh, uh, watercolor brush, a wet brush, and I'm gonna pull out some gray values from that black, just so I can push that pelt into some deeper shadow, and
Yeah.
hit it again with some of the white ink for the drops that'll contrast against that.
Nice. How do you judge,
Like
Kenny,
this,
when you've finished?
and this
Like,
is
how do you
you
judge?
know a
Like,
lot of this
I've got
when I feel like it like to me it conveys a clear message.
right,
Like when all of the little contextual details that I work in unison to convey that clear message.
right. Yeah,
You know what I mean? That like
yes,
I don't feel it necessary to do something hyper detailed, right? If
yeah,
someone who is not familiar with the IP can look at it and say, okay, this is a fish man coming out of the water. You know what I mean? Like so long as it reads well, I've done my job.
yeah. Hey, fish man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where's your meds, fish man? Right?
We've hit your tablets, fish man. It's funny.
That that like for example the weeds that I threw into the background on the horizon here, we can already like register that as it being plant life, right? And
Right.
it
Yes.
feels
Yes.
like and it's very simply done, nothing crazy. I'm not even gonna go back and like cut white into that. I'm not even gonna do that because the idea is to frame Merman,
Yes.
right? And to have him feel like he's emerging from a body of water, right? And
Yes.
if I've been able to convey that with the details that I've already added, right? Then I'm pretty much done. If I feel that
Right.
I can add more context to the art to drive it home further,
Yep.
I will.
So your depth of field that you use with your backgrounds work really well that way. It's like a
Thank you.
film.
And
Yeah.
yeah, because that's kind of how I see it, right? Like if we
Yeah.
look at the He-Man piece, the He-Man piece, it feels like he's up on like a mountainous ridge, and then it's
Yes.
kind of arid and dusty, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
the palette itself is like really warm, right? And
Yeah.
it's to convey us looking up at the hero, but then like with Beastman feels like he's in a pit,
Yes. Yeah.
so it's like I'm moving the camera around to get the best angle that I guess like works best with the character and how I want to portray, right? Because
Yeah.
we talked about how goofy the characters were in the show, right? And
Yes.
they didn't need to be goofy,
No.
but now we have an opportunity to depict these characters as like something a bit more grounded and have them feel a bit more menacing or more stoic,
Yeah. Well, hopefully,
So
I think
yeah,
we're starting to see that. Like I think because we're using the original designs as well, we're not sort of
right.
reinventing the characters. We're reappropriating those characters' designs to have that kind of, I don't know. It's kind of a real life feeling. Like what would they be like moving around in their environment?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It feels a little like for like the Beastman that you did with the tree limb, and he's got the whip.
Yeah.
Like, he feels. It gave me Planet of the Apes vibes, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
gave
Yeah.
it gave me Alpha Predator, vibes.
Yeah. Cool. With
When
the brake handle
He-Man
whip.
leaned into with the brick with the break handle whip. Like the He-Man
You gotta have
that
an
you
element of
did
the stupid.
leaned into, the you got to.
Yeah.
Like the He-Man that you did leaned into the sword and sorcery. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
Like with the lava break and fire, like it felt very
Yeah.
primal, you know.
You gotta have that.
And this and Merman, the Merman that you're doing right now has that 80s like sea monster, aesthetic
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, what makes this challenge so effective. Because it's that reimagining of like, man, sure, the cartoon was cool, but thinking about it now as adults and still
Yeah.
being fans of the IP, like Merman wouldn't be goofy. Merman would be scary as hell.
Oh, while I've been painting his face, I've been thinking the same thing. This thing would be terrifying. Like
Absolutely.
it just be sucking air in like the creature from the Black Lagoon. Like it, it'd be,
Right.
the mouth open and imagine a giant sort of sea creature's mouth, like one of those deep sea creatures' mouths, opening and closing constantly. Like
Exactly.
it'd be terrifying. I wouldn't be distracted by the corncob sword at all.
It's absolutely unsettling.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's like that's my objective with each one of these that we do.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes this challenge work. The fact that we're able to bring a little bit of plausible quality to these characters, right? So that they feel a bit more serious, so that they're taken a bit more seriously.
Yes, they're anchored in that real world. Yeah, for sure. It'd be interesting to see how we tackle ones like Stinkor and some of those characters that have a smell.
Okay, that would be interesting.
Yeah, because he's got that skunk sort of.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking possibly mixed in some media. Maybe a colored pencil.
Yeah, nice.
Or even some pastel.
Yep.
For
Pastels.
like some softer areas. Yeah.
Yep. Bit of Pepe Le Pew action coming off him.
Smoky effect that you can smear around. And
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Oh, l'amour.
Yeah, the Pepe Le Pew. I always love those cartoons. I don't care. Say what you will.
Yeah, he was kind of rapey, but he was fine.
And but I used to love that it was always flipped on him at the end. Like she would become obsessed, and then he'd be on the run, like flat out. She went all sort of
funny how
fatal attraction. She went fatal attraction on him at the end. Yeah.
There we go. Now it's coming together. Now it's coming together. A little bit of this dry brush with very little color. Push the contrast up a bit.
Yeah.
That does it. Because I'm dipping my my brush here in the ink water that I use for the quill.
Oh yes.
So it's a bit of a dirty brush.
Better that than the coffee. That's all I say. I've done that before.
Yes.
Discover it later. Oh.
Oh,
All right.
Coffee's a bit zesty.
Another night in the emergency ward. Great. Just Daddy's getting his stomach pumped again, kids.
There we go.
So we have hit the 2-hour mark, Kenny, and I'm nearly at the point, I suppose, where I can't do too much more on this until I let it dry.
Right.
And I might come and do a final pass through. Because I have to be very careful with this green that it doesn't blend with anything I put in the background.
We can call it. Yeah. Yeah, we can call it for today so that you can allow your paint. You can allow your paint to dry, and like there's a couple areas that I need to like touch up. So like in the next session, like that'll be the one to sort of like cap it because I got very very few things I need to touch up here.
Yeah, so I think between now and then I might just put in the wash for the tentacles.
Right.
And maybe a little bit of the murky water so that can also settle and dry. So the next session I'll just be coming as a final pass through on the arm of the sword and the squid creature in the background.
Yeah, me too.
The mer creature, which you can find in his mini comic. He's got a giant red sort of sea creature in the background of the mini comic. So keeping it to the lore of He-Man. But I'm pretty content with the program, right?
Looks good. Looks really good.
I'm pretty happy with the.
I like the perspective in the gesture there.
Thanks, man.
That foot looks great.
The big 3-toed jutting forward. It's a bit Godzilla-ish, isn't it?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And we got the canculets running up there. Canculets.
It's you know, in every stream we gotta drop one at least.
You're gonna have a new odd item of clothing.
Yes. Canculets.
Canculets.
Let's get. I'm just gonna drop a little bit of ink here that I can kind of manipulate with some water. We can push this leg to shadow.
Got to give our shout outs to Joe Ryan, Kenny. He's been suffering from a bit of carpal tunnel action at the moment. It's slowed his art down.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So giving our best thoughts out to him and intentions that he
good
jumps on a better recovery.
We wish him well.
Yeah.
Indeed, we wish him well.
Nothing worse than that.
Very
Yeah.
talented cartoonist. Very talented cartoonist. Yeah, I think that's got to do it for today.
Yep, I'm just going to put in these
Everything that we've
toenails,
done
and then we'll.
today would have to like settle, and
Yes,
then on the next pass we can finalize.
correct. Yes, I'm just sort of whacking in these toenails, and then we'll be right to go.
So there we are, ladies and gentlemen.
That looks great, Kenny. I love the moss you got coming off the trident too. It's good effect.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
cool.
you. I think I'm going to render a little more of that so that it's got a little more texture to it.
Yeah. Very cool, buddy.
Just
I like that you kept that wash of the waist area too in a wash. That looks good.
Yeah. I didn't want to. I didn't want to overdo it and sort of like lose the pencil that I left there. All right.
Yep. Yep.
Like if you look at the part close enough, some of the ghost pencils is still there, right?
Yeah.
But it's like just big enough so it feels like it's lost in shadow.
Yes.
Right?
I love it. I love how
not
murky it
quite
looks.
immersed in the solid. That's
Yeah. No.
That's
Looks really good. So Kenny, for the week coming, I'm just going to put your details up for any commissions before your shows that are coming. So, and also for bigger projects, contact Kenny at Wild Ink Studios with a Z or Wild Inks Ken, which I keep thinking of Street Fighter every time I read that, but on all platforms. So, Yukas. But yeah, you can get Kenny for commissions, and you prefer your commissions for pickup at the shows beforehand, don't you, or do you accept them at shows as well?
I'm doing both. I can do both.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So there you have it, folks. So this is this week's stream for Merman. We have one more Passover, and then potentially we could start our Man at Arms sketch next week, because I can imagine we'll probably be finished with Merman. Both items will be up for sale at our respective Etsy stores, and mine is at Art of Well Played.
Yep.
Kenny's, where is yours at?
It's also Wild Ink Studios, one word.
Perfect. All right. So please help us out, like and subscribe, and click notify on the YouTubes. Follow us along on the Facebook and Instagrams. Interact with us, because it's always helpful to know, things that we can improve on, but also areas that you enjoy the most as well. It's always very encouraging. So thanks for joining us, everyone, and we will see you next week.
Be well, guys.